Hi, my name's Dave Adams, and you're watching Nerds of Wisdom. Normally this week would be a core mechanic, and I just wanted to do a bit of a catch-up and just bring you up to speed on the fact that not only have I been sick, but my wife has been sick, and my daughter has been sick, so it has not been a fabulous week for recording at all, or doing pretty much anything. And in fact, even this video is going to be up late, so it's been horrendous. However, I thought I'd give you a quick update, let you know that things are okay again and on the move, and I wanted to do a bit of a response video as well to a YouTube channel that I've recently discovered called the Board Game Kaptian. Now, the Board Game Kaptian is a nerd's nerd with some of the best wall art that I've seen in a YouTube video, but he also does a great list of videos including unboxing videos, reviews, as well as talks about the meta world of gaming. One of those videos is something that caught my attention, got me thinking, so I thought I'd do a response video as a shout out to the Board Game Kaptian, and you can check out his stuff in the links below. Now, the video that interested me was the video that the Board Game Kaptian and his crew did on the top 10 games that replaced classic board games. And the reason it interested me so much is, I suppose, because recently I acquired a bunch of books on classic board games, and I've been doing a bit of research into those early games and their mechanics and the impact they had on the gaming culture. However, I'm not going to offer a top 10 list, as I just think doing a top 10 would be too hard for me. I wouldn't necessarily know how to limit it down to top 10, so I'm doing it a little bit differently, and I hope the Kaptian can appreciate that. So what I'm offering is 10 different mechanics found in classic games, and what I think is probably the best example of those mechanics in a modern framework. If you want to explore this topic a little bit further, I'd encourage you to also go check out Restoration Games, where they are taking classic board games and looking at them with modern designer eyes and seeing what they can do to bring those old games back to life. They recently had a hugely successful Kickstarter with Stop Thief, and they've got more on the way, so I strongly encourage you to go check those guys out as well. But without further ado, let me get into my 10 games that I think you should be playing instead of classic games. And I'm going to begin with the first topic, which is trick-taking games. And of course, classic trick-taking games include bridge, so I'm offering this game as an alternative to bridge and perhaps other trick-taking games, and that's the game of Teach-U. Now, I have to be completely honest, I've only really played this game primarily on the app on my iPhone, and that's because it's a 4-player game. You play in teams just like in bridge, and it is about taking those tricks, but this game offers such a great variety in how those tricks get played. The insight into players and the risk taking with players is really amped up for this game. I think it's a wonderful addition to trick-taking games, and I think it pushes the bar just that little bit more. That whereas bridge is popular, hugely popular, I think if it came down to joining a bridge group or a group of people playing Teach-U, I know which one I'm choosing every time. Number 2 on my category is Area Control, and of course this is a classic game. Everybody knows Risk, and everybody's probably got their stories about Risk. I learned to hate Risk from a very early age. The idea of sitting there and taking 6 troops into battle against one measly troop and then watching them slowly get defeated, all 6 one by one, through this stupid die roll. It's infuriating. Plus, it just doesn't offer a lot. I mean, you set up your forces, and a lot too much comes down to the luck. There's nothing to mitigate it. I really don't enjoy Risk at all, so it probably wasn't too hard to replace, especially with Area Control being such a prolific and loved mechanic even today. And so for that reason, I want to offer one of my favorite area control games, Small World. And the reason I offer Small World over my favorite area control game of Twilight Struggle is because Small World's just way more accessible. It's way more replayable, and you can. It's such a shorter playing time to that. It plays in about an hour, And so playing Small World is just, it's fun, it's fast, it's interactive. It's not about doing the heady brain burn sort of stuff. It's just about the fun and excitement of getting those player abilities and seeing what you can do with your team while having that whole experience of a good area control game. It takes things, amps it up through the roof. I love Small World, and I still strongly recommend it as a definite one for your collection. Third on my list is race games, and I'm going to confess with you right now, race games are not my favorite sorts of games to play. But it should be noted that race games come in a variety of forms. Race games are not just about pieces getting to the end of the board, and classic race games include Snakes and Ladders, Trouble, Sorry. They're games where your objective is to get pieces from point 0 to point 100 or whatever, and to be the first to get your pieces over the finish line. But since then, we've started to understand race games as something far more than that, and that's including the race to get a certain number of victory points, or the race to achieve a certain goal or agenda, as in many games like Race for the Galaxy, for instance. And that's why the game that I think outshines and replaces all of those classic race games of Snakes and Ladders and Trouble is Camelot. Now, you could put this in the betting category of games, and I'd understand if you did. However, for me, Camelot captures the whole feel of that race, where that real excitement, the tension, the build-up, the push to get over the finish line, and while it's pieces getting over the finish line, it's not the crux of the game. There's so much more going on. It's just a lot of fun. I laugh all the way through. I think it's a wonderful game to play, and I hope you at least take the time to check out Camelot. It's a great game. Fourth on my list is set collection games. Games such as Rummy, or even the classic Go Fish, where your goal is to simply get similar pairs of cards into your collection. And I'm going to offer, as the alternative to set collection games, I'm going to do a bit of a dodgy here. I'm going to offer a bit of a tied platform. I'm going to suggest 2 games for this category, and it's simply because I think that it's worth mentioning these 2 games for different reasons. The first game I'm going to offer to you as a replacement to set collection games is the game Tokaido. Now, Tokaido, designed by Antoine Bowser, is such a beautiful game to play, but it has such a simple, easy, accessible nature to it, where it takes very little time to really work out what's going on, and it scales the mechanics back and just is such a pure set collection game. I think it really is a pinnacle of set collection. However, having said that, I want to offer the game Thebes as an alternative as well. For those who are looking for something just a little bit more than what Tokaido offers, I highly recommend Thebes as a set collection game, simply because it does give that added extra to what you're doing. You have to think through your movements, you have to think through how you use time, and time is the primary resource in Thebes. Now, I've talked about Thebes before. You can go check out my review of it. It's a wonderful game, and the risk reward is massive in it, and it's a lot of fun. So in terms of set collection, I think if you're looking for the lighter version, go to Kaido. Very accessible, great game. But if you're looking for a little bit more, with a little bit more risk and a little bit more luck thrown in, go check out Thebes. Number 5 on my list is abstract games, and abstract strategy games are some of my favorite games to play. It should be noted that when it comes to doing detailed strategy, I like playing detailed strategy games. I just suck at it, but that doesn't stop me. I do thoroughly enjoy a good abstract game, and I do enjoy a good strategy game. So if you're the sort of person that likes playing chess or Go, I'm going to recommend to you a game by Reiner Knizia called Tigris and Euphrates. Now, yes, it does have a light conceit, it does have a little bit of theme, but the theme is meaningless. You are essentially playing area control with these wonderful mechanics where you're placing your leaders, and where you place them is how you score points. And the thing that I love about this game so much, which I think has not been capitalized on by other designers as well as it should be, is the idea that each different leader needs to score points, and the only points you score at the end of the game is the leader that scores the lowest number. So you have 4 different leader tokens, all of them have to be scoring points. The one that scores the least is your points at the end of the game. that's what you get compared to the other players. And that idea is just masterful, in that you cannot just build a dominant strategy and go hard for it and eke out a victory. This requires you to be thinking about the whole board, to be thinking about your avenues in, and as your pieces get placed on the board or removed from the board, you're thinking about how to get them back on so you can keep building your score up and doing it in a way that keeps that bottom line going up with the rest of the other leaders. It is a wonderful game. Ryan Knizia knocked it out of the park with this one, and although it's a bit of an older game than some of the other games on this list, I certainly think it still holds up today if you love abstract strategy games, which I do, and this one's a good one. Number 6 on my list is deduction games. Now, there's not a lot of deduction games to choose from, although you do have the classics like Scotland Yard and those, but I haven't actually played the Scotland Yard games or any of those, although it is on my list to play. But most people have played the game Clue if you're in North America, or Cluedo if you're in the rest of the world. And for me, deduction games are so much fun, and it's not just because you get to deduce who's the murderer or whatever the context of the game is. I think it's because they bring in a really great social element that will allow the meta game to be a part of the actual game itself. And so as a player, I'm constantly not only thinking about the state of the game, I'm also thinking about the people I'm playing with and wondering whether I can trust them, or did they just give away a tell then, or what's going on. So I love that whole watching your opponents, asking questions, trying to coax out information. That said, there are some great choices for deduction games around today, with a recent boom in deduction games coming out of, I don't know where it came out of, but there's certainly a good number hitting the table. But I think out of all of them, I struggle so hard to nail down to one, but I think I'm going to go with the Resistance, simply because out of all the games I've played, the one that has the best build up with the greatest payoff is the Resistance. When you are a Resistance member trying to hunt out that spy, and I like the idea that in this game it's kind of the reverse, where it's actually the big corporation you've got to try and work out is who from the big corporation is infiltrating the group. I like this game because it's so hard for them to overthrow the group and to not get discovered. But that challenge is so worth it, and when it works, the payoff, that juicy payoff when you've deceived everybody and everybody is demanding that you be on their team and not that person over there, because somehow you managed to get everyone suspecting them instead of you. It's brilliant. Number 7 on my list is real-time strategy games, and you might be saying that there could not have been a lot of real-time strategy games back in the classic gaming era, and you would be right. Just as true as it would be to say that there's probably not a lot of real-time strategy games today, and recently we've seen a bit of an influx, but not a great deal. And I think in part that's because a lot of the pressure and the tension of a real-time strategy game to move really quickly and to be on the ball is quite a challenge, both physically, mentally, and sometimes emotionally. However, the classic game of Pit is still one of my favorites, and one I regularly play today, and it's something I'm really keen to teach young people as an entry point into real-time strategy. However, if you are looking for something just a little bit more with a great payoff, Escape Curse of the Forbidden Temple is just such a great little game for 10 minutes of activity where you are frantically trying to get out of the temple, with the little added extras of having to get rid of the gems, having to run back to the center so that you can avoid being locked out, of having your dice locked and needing the help of your compatriots to run back and help you unlock dice. It just has these extra tensions which build and build and build and push to that really great race at the end. A wonderful game. Highly recommended. Number 8 on my list is dexterity games like marbles and, of course, the great game Operation. But today has seen such a wonderful thrust of dexterity games coming out, with some really great ones. Even recently, Ice Cool winning the Spiel des Jahres, the Kinderspiel des Jahres, which is just beloved by children and adults. But for me, I think my favorite dexterity game is still Super Rhino. Until I played Super Rhino, I'd never played a dexterity game that just had me so on the edge and having fun and just lots of laughs. And I'm not really a fan of dexterity games, but Super Rhino, I'll bust that out no problem. Works as a quick filler game. It works as a whole hour of entertainment if you want to keep building it. And of course, the one I'm really keen to see that some of my friends were telling me about is the Super Rhino Deluxe with the giant cards and the big Rhino piece. Oh, I've got to play that. I look forward to it. Ooh, where is it? Now, dice rolling games have been around for ages, with dice being one of the earliest board game components invented. It has had some controversial times, especially with the Puritan Christian movements that saw it as a device of the devil. It's one of the things that held dice from actually getting into board games in the modern era. I say modern, the more modern era. It's why Monopoly was so innovative, because it actually included dice, which went against the Methodist movement to condemn dice as a tool for gambling. So dice are an interesting component. And of course, one of the great classics dice games of all time is Yahtzee. And I think that the Yahtzee mechanic still has a lot to offer today. And if anyone has shown us that, it's designer of Magic the Gathering, Richard Garfield, when he released his board game King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo uses the Yahtzee mechanic, but in a way that again is about adding to the flavor and the context of the game. You're trying to roll these dice to overthrow Tokyo. You can use the dice to attack your opponents. You can use the dice to score straight up victory points. The multiple paths to victory, the fact that it can lead to some really great moments where you just need that one result to come on through, and it does, and everyone's like, wah! Or it doesn't, and you're just like, either way, it's a lot of fun. Lots of laughs to be had with King of Tokyo. That's my replacement for Yahtzee. Now, it seemed that just for you, Board Gaming Captain, that I had to have my number 10 slot, the final one on my list, of course, the classic Monopoly. And I think you'll be happy with my choice, because I think, agreed with pretty much all of you that the best replacement for Monopoly is Lords of Vegas. I'm going to put a link to my review of Lords of Vegas in the description. Lords of Vegas is still in my top 10 games of all time. I love Lords of Vegas. It's such a clever use of dice. I love the point system in this game and how it forces you to really expand and to be aggressive in your tactics. I love how it uses probability and chance in a way that doesn't interfere with good strategy and planning. I just love the risks that you can take and the big payoffs and the big failures. It's such a great, well-integrated game. It's just had some of the best moments when it comes to dice rolling. I love Lords of Vegas. I wholeheartedly agree with all of you who chose Lords of Vegas as an option, and I strongly recommend that if you're watching this video, you need to go check out this game. Well, that does it for me. That is my list there, my 10 games that I think replace classic games. I hope that you've enjoyed the list. I hope that you might offer some of your thoughts of games that replace classic games. If you do, please put them in the comments section below. If you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, my name's Dave Adams, and you've been watching Nerds of Wisdom.